Hey everyone, welcome back to Autolingo English, the podcast where we help you think, feel, and live in English. I'm Emma.
And I'm Alex. And if you're new here, first of all, welcome to the family. Second of all, you picked a really good episode to start with.
Like, genuinely one of my favorite topics we've ever covered.
Same. And if you've been with us for a while, you already know we don't do boring here.
We really don't. So before we dive in, if you're listening on YouTube, hit that subscribe button right now. And wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere, follow the show so you never miss an episode.
Okay, so today's topic. Emma, you want to set it up?
Yes. Okay. So, how many of you, when someone asks you something in English, the first thing you do is think in your own language, translate it in your head, and then say it out loud?
Oh, every single person just raised their hand. I know it.
Every single person. And look, nobody taught us not to do that. It just kind of happened. We learned English like we learned math. Formula in, answer out.
Right, like someone says, how was your weekend? And your brain goes, okay, weekend, what did I do? Let me think in my language first, now translate, now say it, and by the time you're ready to answer, the conversation has already moved on.
And that's not just embarrassing, that's exhausting, like genuinely mentally exhausting.
It really is, and today we're going to fix that, not with grammar rules, not with vocabulary lists,
We're going to talk about how to actually rewire the way your brain works in English.
which sounds intense, but I promise it's not. It's actually kind of fascinating.
Okay, so Alex, can I tell them the story, the one about my cousin?
Oh, please, yes, tell them.
Okay, so my cousin, she moved abroad a few years ago. Zero English. Like, she could say hello and thank you, and that was it. And she called me maybe 3 months after moving, and I asked her, how's your English? And she said something that honestly changed how I think about language learning. She said, Emma, I stopped trying to speak English. I just started living in it.
Okay, that actually gave me chills a little bit.
Right? And at first, I didn't really understand what she meant, but she explained it. She said in her first few weeks, she was doing exactly what we just described. Thinking in her language, translating, speaking, and she was miserable. Conversations felt like exams.
Which, can we just acknowledge how relatable that is? Feeling like every English conversation is a test you didn't study for?
Exactly. And then one day, she just stopped. She stopped trying to find the perfect translated version, and she started just responding. Even if it came out messy, even if it came out weird.
And something shifted?
Something shifted. Her brain started connecting English words directly to feelings and images and experiences, not to words in another language.
Okay, so this is actually the core of what we're talking about today, and there's a name for it. It's called direct association, and language researchers have been talking about this for a long time.
The idea is simple. When a fluent English speaker hears the word rain, they don't think of another word. They feel something. They picture something. Maybe they smell something. The word connects directly to the experience.
But for most language learners, especially in the early and intermediate stages, the word rain connects to the word in their own language first, and then that connects to the experience.
It's one extra step. Sounds small, but multiply that by every single word in a conversation, and suddenly your brain is running a marathon just to have a casual chat.
So the question is, how do you build those direct connections? How do you get to a place where English words connect straight to your thoughts and feelings?
And this is where it gets really practical and also a little surprising.
Okay, wait, can I jump in here? Because I think this is a good moment to talk about the first mistake people make when they try to do this.
Yes, go.
So most people, when they hear think in English, they try to translate their thoughts. Like they'll be in the shower and they'll think, okay, I'm going to practice, and they'll try to take whatever thought they're having and say it in English. And that's still translating.
Just in reverse. Oh, that's such a good point. You're still going through your first language, you're just going the other direction.
Exactly. Real English thinking doesn't start with translation at all. It starts with the situation. It starts with what's in front of you.
So instead of translating the thought, I'm hungry, into English, you see food, you feel hunger, and the word hungry just appears. No detour.
Right. The word is attached to the sensation, not to another word.
And the way you build that, you start small. Ridiculously small.
Tell them about the sticky note method, because I feel like this one's really underrated.
Okay, so this is one of the simplest things you can do. You get sticky notes or just pieces of paper and you label things in your house in English. Your fridge says fridge, your mirror says mirror, your door says door.
Sounds almost too simple, right?
That's what people think, but here's what's actually happening. Every time you look at your mirror and you see the word mirror, your brain is making a connection. Not mirror equals some word in your language, just that thing, mirror, that thing, mirror, over and over.
And slowly, those labels become unnecessary because the connection is already built.
And then you move to actions. You start narrating your day in English in your head, not translating your day, narrating it, like you're the main character of a story.
Oh, I love this one because it makes everything kind of fun, like you're living inside an English movie.
Exactly. So instead of waking up and your brain doing whatever it normally does, you think, okay, I'm waking up. It's cold. I don't want to get out of bed. I need coffee. And none of those thoughts came from another language. They came from what you're actually experiencing.
And at first, it's going to feel weird. We want to be honest about that.
Very weird. Your brain is going to resist. It's going to want to go back to the familiar path.
Because that's what brains do. They like efficiency. The old pathway is faster at first.
But here's the twist, and this is the part that really surprised me when I learned it.
Oh, the discomfort thing.
The discomfort thing. So there's this idea in neuroscience, when something feels hard and uncomfortable, that's actually when your brain is growing the most. The struggle is the learning.
Which is so counterintuitive because we're always trying to make things easier for ourselves.
Right? We think struggle means we're doing it wrong, but with language, struggle often means you're doing it exactly right. Your brain is building new roads.
Okay, but here's where I want to push back a little bit because I think there's a version of this advice that goes too far.
Say more.
So sometimes people here think in English and they feel like they have to completely abandon their first language, like their language is the enemy, and I really don't think that's true.
Oh, I completely agree with this.
Your first language is not the enemy. It's actually proof that you can do this. You already learned one entire language. Your brain already knows how to do this. It just needs to do it again.
And there's actually research that shows bilingual people, people who use two languages, have stronger cognitive flexibility. Like your brain gets better at thinking in general when you learn another language.
So we're not here to throw away your language. We're here to build a new room in your brain.
I love that. A new room, not a replacement, an addition.
Okay, so we've talked about direct association, the sticky note method, narrating your day. What else? Because I feel like there's something we haven't said yet that's really important.
Emotions. We haven't talked about emotions.
Yes. Okay, this is huge.
So one of the reasons people struggle to think in English even after years of studying is they've learned English in their head, but they haven't felt it in their chest.
Can you say more about that? Because I think some people might not know what you mean.
Yeah, so think about a word in your first language that really means something to you. Maybe it's a word your mom uses. Maybe it's a word from a song you love. When you hear that word, you don't just know what it means, you feel it.
Because it has memories and emotions attached to it.
Exactly. And for most learners, English words don't have that yet. They're just definitions, just sounds.
And that makes them harder to access quickly because the brain prioritizes emotional memories.
So the solution, and this one's a little unconventional, is to create emotional experiences in English. Watch movies that make you cry in English. Listen to music that gives you chills in English. Have conversations that actually matter to you in English.
Not just what is your name, where are you from conversations.
Not just small talk, real conversations about things you care about things that make you a little nervous to talk about.
Because that nervousness, that emotional charge is actually helping your brain remember.
You will remember that conversation. You will remember those words because they were attached to something real.
Okay, I want to share something kind of personal here. Is that okay?
Always.
So, when I was learning, and I've talked about this a little before, there was this period where I understood English pretty well, but I couldn't think in it. I could read, I could write if I had time, but in conversation, I was constantly one step behind, and it was demoralizing. I genuinely wondered sometimes if something was wrong with me.
And nothing was wrong with you.
Nothing was wrong with me, but I didn't know that then, and I think a lot of people listening right now feel that exact same thing. And I just want to say that lag, that delay, that feeling of your brain buffering, it's not permanent. It's a phase, and it passes.
And it passes faster when you understand what's actually happening, which is what today day is all about.
Right, because when I finally understood that I wasn't broken, that I was just still building those direct connections, I stopped panicking in conversations. And weirdly, the moment I stopped panicking, I started flowing better.
Because panic is a speed bump. It literally slows your brain down.
It does. Your nervous system goes into protection mode, and suddenly everything that you know feels locked away.
This is why confidence is a language learning skill. People think it's just attitude, but no, confidence actually gives your brain access to what it knows.
Okay, so what do we want to leave people with today? Because I feel like we've covered a lot.
We have, so let's bring it home.
Let's bring it home.
The goal isn't to be perfect in English. The goal is to get your brain comfortable enough in English that it doesn't need a middleman anymore.
That translation step, it's a middleman, and every day, every small habit, every sticky note and narrated morning and emotional English experience is slowly making that middleman unnecessary.
And there will be a day, and I want you to really hear this, there will be a day where you're in a conversation and you realize at the end of it, you weren't translating. It just happened. And that day is coming. It's closer than you think.
I remember that day for me. It was such a strange feeling. Like, wait, did I just do that?
Yes, and it sneaks up on you. One day you're struggling, and then one day you're just talking.
And you will get there. Whoever you are, wherever you're starting from, you will get there.
Okay, I think that's a beautiful place to